Wait till you see the large print edition that the Democrats have come up with for chants at anti-Tesla, anti-Elon Musk rallies. First of all, I don't think they understand what large print edition means. Second of all, it's very funny. It's very funny that they need to write these things down, but that's what happens when you do drugs. Drugs rot your brain, and you can't even remember. In fact, you know what? Well, I didn't really want to jump right into it, but I just saw this before we started the show, and it's really kind of funny to me. So maybe we'll get to it here right at the beginning. There's a lot going on today. First of all, we got a busy week here. It's the last day of March. It's March 31st, 2025. I don't know when you're listening. That's a problem too. Not a problem per se, but I don't like to be specific typically when I'm doing these podcasts and things like that, because, you know, it's not like radio or TV anymore where you do it once and it disappears into the ether. Now what we're looking at is digital content. We're looking at digital properties. We're looking at something. This is an asset now that lives pretty much forever in various different places. So you could be listening to like if I say it's Monday, you could be listening to it on Tuesday. You could be listening to it on Friday. You could be listening to it 3 years from now, which I don't know why you would, but you know, you might be. And whenever you're listening to it, that's why I don't like to be too time specific. But today is the last day of March 2025, which means tomorrow not only do we start second quarter, but some other really exciting stuff happening. We are on the brink of Donald Trump's Liberation Day, which means the tariffs are going to hit pretty much. They're going to hit the you know what, but the tariffs are going to hit everybody all over the globe, and that means that A, we are going to make a lot more money here in the United States of America, and B, a lot of people are going to be moving their factories and their businesses and everything else within our shores, so that they don't risk having to pay out the yin yang. But it looks like it's going to be a great deal for the United States, and we'll get into all of that here in just a minute. Also, Donald Trump said something to the media the other day that sent them into a predictable, chaotic frenzy, a frenetic tizzy, and all kinds of other, you know, again, typical leftist reactions whenever Donald Trump says something. And whether he's serious or not remains to be seen, but we do know that the impact on the left is hilarious to watch. So we'll get into some of that as well. And Elon Musk was in Wisconsin. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, went to Wisconsin, went to Green Bay to talk about this really important Brad Schimmel election going on tomorrow in Wisconsin, and the repercussions it's going to have not just on the folks in Wisconsin, not just on the Supreme Court, not just on the Congress, but on the entire world. The entire world hinges on Wisconsin. Who knew? Who knew that a billionaire and a cheesehead would be the one person keeping us from really total world domination by the left and the destruction of Donald Trump's agenda to save not just the country, but the world? It's really going to be. In fact, you know what? In fact, maybe we'll. I don't know. I don't know where to start this. Some days I go, oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go everywhere. Today, I'm just like, you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and we might as well just start with Elon Musk wearing a cheese head and running out on stage in Wisconsin to a crowd of thousands who were so excited to see him, so excited to hear from him, so excited to see his cheese head, and so excited to get a bunch of cheddar, because he handed out a lot of money too while he was there. Elon Musk, of course, coming to the aid of Republicans in Wisconsin as they face an uphill battle.
What do you think of my hat?
Yeah, we like it.
All right, I'm gonna sign the hat and I'm gonna throw it out.
Okay, now Elon Musk, by the way, he walks out and if you don't know what a cheesehead is, I don't know where you've been, but at the everyone in Wisconsin, I think, has one of these. I think when you're born, I don't know if it's when you're born you get the cheesehead in Wisconsin. If anyone there is there from, if Julie, if you can shed some light on this, or if you get it, I think maybe when you come of age, there could be like a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah type situation. When you're 13, you get your cheesehead, or it could just be at the age of consent, maybe at 18. Who knows? But eventually, everybody in Wisconsin gets a cheesehead. In fact, I'm going to try to find the picture of this. I was at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and on the floor, the entire Wisconsin delegation at one time, they were all donning these cheeseheads. Because that's their thing, you know. That's what happens when you're in Wisconsin. You wear a cheesehead. It's like when you're in Florida, you wear, flip flops and a Jimmy Buffett t-shirt. It's the same thing in Wisconsin. That's what you wear. That's what you wear wherever you go. So Elon Musk rolls out with one of these things and he goes, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign it and I'm going to throw it out to the crowd. And he signs it. Elon. I don't know if he writes Elon Musk or if he just writes Elon or if he writes something else. And then he throws this thing Frisbee style and he just chucks it. Whoa, and there it goes. And these are foam. So, they go pretty far, but somebody grabs it. Somebody got it, and they're a lucky duck because now they have Elon's signature on a Cheesehead, which makes it probably a one-of-a-kind Cheesehead. Again, like I said, a lot of people have Cheeseheads in Wisconsin. I think only one person has one that's been autographed by Elon Musk. But Elon Musk was out there, and he was like, look, everybody, we got some stuff to do. Man, there's some important stuff going on today. Here's why I'm here. Here's why you're here. And here's the task at hand.
So let me finish by saying, obviously, yeah, those at the state level will be cool. But just remember, the importance of the election on Tuesday is gigantic. It could decide the future of the House of Representatives. It could decide then the future of America and the future of the world. So it's absolutely critical that you need to just drag friends and family to vote on Tuesday for Justice Schimmel and for voter ID. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so he's not, the most dynamic speaker, but but the idea is the idea is simple. And it's not that it might affect the House or save that. It will. You need to save the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives, as we saw last week, has a very slim margin because there's a lot going on in this country that could affect it. First of all, the House of Representatives has 435 seats when it's full, which it is not. There's two special elections going on tomorrow in Florida, one in District 1, one in District 6, and both of those are right now leaning Republican. I mean, they're staunchly Republican, but the races are leaning Republican. Jimmy Petronis in the 1st Congressional District here in Florida, we imagine will win. Randy Fine, we also imagine will win in District 6, but that race has become a lot closer than anybody wanted it to be, except the Democrats. They wanted to win. They poured so much money into it. They had, over the weekend, Bernie Sanders came out and endorsed the candidate, and the guy's name is Weil. They endorsed him in a special election in Florida's District 6, a very, very red district. So that just goes to show how takeable the Democrats think it is, or how close the Democrats have come to the Republican candidate in an area where Donald Trump and Mike Waltz and Republicans usually dominate by 30 points or more. It's not going to be anywhere near that come tomorrow, but it should remain comfortably in control of the Republicans. And if that's the case, the Republicans maintain their very slim majority. Elise Stefanik, she voluntarily. She's leaving the UN. She's not going to be the UN ambassador. She's going back to the Congress. She's going to represent the folks in New York for another 2 years at least. And she's doing that because they want to secure that seat. And there's no telling what the Democrats would have done in New York. If they can get really close in a red district in Florida, don't you think they could get really, really close in a purple district or in a purple state like New York? Probably so. And so this Wisconsin vote is very important because what's going to happen if the Democrats win is that the left-wing lunatic liberal who's going to be sitting on the Supreme Court will immediately vote to redraw the districts. There's pending litigation in Wisconsin about the districts being unfair, so they would redraw them and they would gerrymander them, turning at least two, if not more, but at least two districts blue. And by turning two districts blue in Wisconsin, that means that in 2026 they could really do a number on Donald Trump's entire agenda. If the Democrats take over the House of Representatives, if Hakeem Jeffries is allowed to be Speaker, then you'll immediately see another impeachment of President Donald Trump. You'll immediately see all kinds of other shenanigans, and every piece of legislation that Donald Trump wants to get through in his 4 years or in his remaining, 2 years would be stymied immediately. The Democrats, they may be dangerous. They may lack common sense. They may not care about the United States of America. They may be destructive to the cause of liberty and life and freedom and all those other things. But the one thing they are not is disloyal to each other. And they will band together and they will vote in unison, lockstep. They're going to be like one big liberal, horrible force of nature stopping everything that goes through the House of Representatives. There are no outliers in the Democrat Party. It's not like the Republicans. In the Republican Party, you actually have people, and the reason for this is because of moral character. In the Republican Party, you have people that are going to vote against Donald Trump. You have Thomas Massey. And yes, some people say he's a grandstander. Some people say he's just doing what he was put there to do. Some people are saying he's voting with his conscience, whatever. In the Democrat Party, there's no voting with your conscience. There's no voting for the people back home. It's party above all. It's party above country. It's party above Congress. It's party above everything. It's all about the Democrats. So they will push their morals, if they even have any, aside, and they will do whatever they need to do to stop the Republicans and to push through whatever their crazed agenda is. Whatever woke stuff they want to happen, they will make happen. Because they'll look, they may not want to, but they'll threaten and cajole and blackmail each other. Nancy Pelosi was famous for it. The only reason Nancy Pelosi was so successful as Speaker of the House, it wasn't because she could motivate people with her words and actions. She could barely speak half the time, and when she did, she would slur her words. No, she could threaten people. She could threaten people by withholding campaign funds. She could threaten people by primarying them. She could threaten people by, I don't know, maybe forcing them to look at naked photos of her. I don't know, whatever it was. She had some kind of way that she could get the Democrats to fall in line, and they always did. And that's why it's very important that the Republicans maintain control of the House of Representatives. That's happening in Florida and Wisconsin tomorrow. If you know anyone in those two states, tell them if they're voting for anything, they need to vote for Republicans. If they're really, anytime you're voting, you should vote for Republicans. And I say this all the time. The worst Republican is always better than the best Democrat. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The worst Republican is better than the best Democrat, if for no other reason than there is that majority. And that is something that every now and then it's something that we need to, experience. And I think we're experiencing it, at least in a couple places this time around. But it is definitely a fight and a battle, as we always say it is, to save our republic. Now, speaking of saving things, Elon Musk also took questions from the crowd. And one of the questions, of course, that popped up was about Social Security, which it's a lie that the left likes to permeate. The lie always likes to tell everybody that the right is coming for Social Security, that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going to get rid of Social Security, that Elon Musk said Social Security it's an entitlement program and we got to cut it out because it's bankrupt. He didn't say anything at all to that effect, and he has no intention, neither does Donald Trump, of getting rid of anyone's Social Security.
Doge will make sure you get your Social Security. Doge will make sure you get your Medicaid. There will be no cuts to legitimate payments whatsoever.
Yeah, so the cuts will not be there. The Social Security will be stabilized. You are going to get your checks. Oh, unless, of course, you are one of those dead people who's still collecting payments, or an illegal immigrant who somehow got a Social Security number, which, by the way, there's millions of those apparently.
And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah, so let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff that we're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America.
Okay, so what they found here, they found that there's been a drastic increase in the number of Social Security numbers that have been given to non-citizens or illegal immigrants. There are non-citizens getting Social Security numbers. And if you know anything about Social Security, It's, paid into you're paid into the system by, the work that you do, their Social Security tax, they withdraw it from your paycheck, all of that kind of thing. And then it's paid out at the end of the year. But Social Security numbers are required to become a member of society, a working member of society. Do you have to be a citizen to get a Social Security number? Well, the answer is yeah, or at least a legal working resident. But this is not the case. This is not what the Democrats have been doing. They've been handing out Social Security numbers to a lot of folks who are illegal.
And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
I mean, this is insanity. This is insanity what has been going on. So Joe Biden and the Democrats, they open up the border. They tell the Border Patrol to basically stand down. Stand down, Border Patrol. Don't arrest them. Don't charge them with a misdemeanor. Don't charge them with a felony. Charge them with an administrative offense. Give them a notice to appear, an NTA, and send them on their way. So they get there, and we've seen this. We knew this was going on all the time. We knew about the NTAs. We knew about the notice to appear. We knew that these people were getting these sheets of paper and leaving and going into the country and eating the dogs and eating the cats and eating the pets of the people who live there, and you never see them again. And now what we're learning is not only are those people being released into our country by the Border Patrol, who was told point blank by the Biden administration and Alejandro Mayorkas and the Homeland Security Department and everybody else in charge of this debacle to just let him go, give him the notice to appear, let him go. We only have 700 border judges. There's 5 million people awaiting their trial or their hearing. Okay, maybe in 10 years we'll get to you. In the meantime, fill out this form and we will just send you a Social Security number. Fill out this form and we'll mail it to you. You don't have to appear. No hearing, no interview. Now, and again, this is one of the reasons why legal immigrants are the biggest opponents to illegal immigrants. This is one of the reasons why legal immigrants are so hell-bent on protecting our border and protecting our sovereignty and stopping illegal immigration. Because when I came to this country, I had to have multiple interviews. I had to have multiple tests. I had to take an English proficiency exam. And I told you, I came from Canada. I don't speak any other language other than English. My entire life, all I spoke was English. They tried to teach me French, but je comprends un peu, but not enough to carry on massive conversations or live in a country that's dumb enough to have French as its second language. All these things. So I come to the United States of America. They make me take an English proficiency exam. These folks come here illegally, and they get Social Security cards in the mail. Do you know how many thousands of dollars in legal fees my family paid to become legal citizens? And these folks are just, for the price of a stamp or whatever, you go on your phone, you fill out the online form, all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, you're getting a Social Security card?
is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep.
No.
They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system, from Social Security to all of the benefit programs, have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why.
Right.
And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. And we knew that was the next step. First, you come into the country illegally, then you get sent into the wild, then you get a Social Security number, then you get Medicaid, and then, you know what? You're already here. You've already got a Social Security number. You've probably got an ID. Why don't you just go ahead and register to vote? Doesn't matter that you're not a citizen. Doesn't matter that you're not even a legal resident. You go ahead and vote. I didn't vote till I was almost 30. Why? Well, because I didn't become a citizen till I was 26. When I became a citizen at 26 years old, one of the most exciting things, one of the best things I ever did, I remember I walked in and I voted, and we had a party, and it was amazing, and it was incredible, and I felt like such a truly, like part of the American dream, finally, voting for my own elected representatives, voting for president. It was really, really exceptional. I believe it was George W. Bush, but that's it. Back then, that was the best choice we had. It was George W. And I voted in that election. I voted in every election. I voted in every election since. But I waited till I was a legal citizen. I didn't just get a Social Security number and a voter registration form and go vote. And thank God now they've pushed them forward for prosecution because, fun fact, it's illegal. But here's the thing. Once you break one law, and this is, I blame, yes, do you blame the illegal immigrants? Sure. But you really have to blame the Biden administration and the Democrats for inspiring these people to become career criminals, which is really what they are. You're inspired. First of all, they get word, right, from, let's say they're in El Salvador or Venezuela or wherever else. They get word, come to the United States. You can walk right across the border. They'll give you a Social Security number. You get Medicaid. You get free this. You get free. It's great. Come on over. They'll fly you wherever you want to go. All the dogs you can eat. It's amazing. So they're sending word home saying, come on, because Joe Biden has made it just so attractive to become an illegal immigrant in the United States of America. He has sweetened the deal so much. Their kids are getting educated. They're getting health care. It's amazing. It's the best opportunity ever. So they're flooding the country with illegals. They're giving them Social Security numbers. They're then saying, you know what? While you're at it, since you already broke a bunch of laws, break one more and vote. And be sure to vote Democrat. And now that the tables have turned, they're going to have to pay the piper. They're either going to have to leave the country or be incarcerated because they voted illegally, or both. And they have Joe Biden once again to thank for that.
Already. That is already happening right now. Yeah. And the truly disturbing thing, though, I just want you to know this, a truly disturbing thing to me, and the darkest thing about this to me, the voter fraud is terrible, but the human tragedy this created is extraordinary, because what you don't understand, and people don't know, and Americans need to know, that's why I'm here, is that human traffickers made $13 to $15 billion off of this, okay? That's the money that's going around the world, moving people around the world to our borders because of these incentives. How does it work? What happens? Hey, if you're in Africa and you're in Central America, you got to walk up through Mexico, through Central America. Who do you pay? You pay the narcos, you pay the traffickers, right? And we were told by ICE, it's between $20,000 and $500, depends where they pick you up, to walk across all those countries and get all the way up to the border. Where's that money goes? It goes to the cartels. It goes to human traffickers, right? There are 30,000 children that have not appeared on the notice to appear already. ICE knows this. 30,000 children 270,000 children didn't even get notices to appear. ICE told us that kids are being trafficked back and forth across the border to complete families to make this easier. This is a human tragedy. It's not just the money, it's the people and the kids. And how many of these people died on the way up here that didn't make it in? What happened to them? We created a system here that created an incentive for people to come and be taken advantage of by these traffickers. And how do you think they get paid? What, you're in Africa, Central America, you got $20,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 to pay these traffickers? No, you don't. What happens? You come in, then you owe them the money. You're an indentured servant. If you don't pay them, what happens? What do? They kill your mother, they kill your brother, they kill your family. What happens next? That's what we discovered. And I have to tell you, it's tragic to me. The tragedy, the human tragedy this created is extraordinary. That's the real problem. This is America. We don't do this here in America.
Yeah.
We don't do this here in America.
I mean, it's such a criminal. I mean, if you really want to look at it, it's a multinational criminal. I guess you would say, I don't even know, like not even a cartel. It is wild how Joe Biden facilitated and sat right at the top of this whole thing. Joe Biden created the process by which all of these people could benefit. The illegal immigrants, the traffickers, the cartels, terrorists, everybody. Everybody had a stake in this, and everybody was making money. And who suffered? Innocent Americans, innocent immigrants, children, United States citizens, everybody. Taxpayers, those are the people that suffered. But who didn't? The Democrats. The Democrats started to get more and more voters coming into the country. They started to pad the Social Security rolls. They started to get more and more tax dollars, and all of it was illegal. And all of it was signed off on by Joe Biden. They said he wasn't asleep at the switch. He knew exactly what he was doing. It was a mass immigration plan to try to create an electorate that was predominantly blue and would be permanently blue and would make the United States of America a Democrat sanctuary forever. And if you don't believe me, just look at places like Wisconsin and Michigan. Just look at all these states where they're moving people in. Look at Ohio. Why were all these Haitian immigrants in Ohio? Why were they all in Springfield, Ohio? Well, Ohio is a predominantly red state. Sometimes it was blue, sometimes it's red. It's a bellwether. They need more Democrat voters in places like that. And that's why it's so imperative that Donald Trump got elected. That's why it's so imperative that Donald Trump was able to shut down the border. And that's why it's so imperative that Donald Trump be able to remain in power without any kind of interference, like, for example, another impeachment, which would happen immediately in 2027 if the Democrats were able to take over the House of Representatives. Hopefully that won't happen. There was one more moment I wanted to share with you from this Elon Musk event in Wisconsin, which is really cool. Again, think about this. Here's Elon Musk, all right? This guy's got like 8 companies. He's got Tesla. He's got SpaceX. He's got the Boring Company. He's got all this stuff going on. He's trying to build loops in Dubai and Las Vegas and all these other places. He's got idiots keying his cars and lighting his dealerships on fire and blowing things up and burning down his charging stations on the highway. He's got to deal with all that crap. Plus, he's got Doge. He's working 7 days a week on Doge, trying to cut out government waste. He's got to appear on TV to explain himself, and he takes time out of his day. Despite all of that, he goes, you know what? I know that I'm busy. I know that I've got all this stuff, but I would just like to say that this is important. This is important. We need Wisconsin. So I'm going to fly from wherever I was to Wisconsin with my security team. And there's a security. Don't think that he doesn't take a security team with him. Don't think he needs to take a security team everywhere he goes, because everywhere he goes, there's threats. In fact, there were George Soros supporters who snuck into this event. Elon Musk even called them out when they started causing havoc.
Yeah, it's really wild. So, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George from me. USA, USA. USA.
Yeah, so he's putting his life on the line because, again, there's crazies everywhere he goes. He's standing up on stage and he's delivering this message because he said this is important. This is more important than anything else that I'm doing right now. This is more important than doging the United States government. This is more important than cutting the waste. This is more important than dealing with the attacks on my own livelihood, on my own companies, and on my own employees, because we need to protect the House of Representatives. And in order to do that, we've got to make sure that that Brad Schimmel gets elected to the Supreme Court in Wisconsin tomorrow. By the way, he did also mention Congress and how much money these people in Congress are making and how that deserves and probably will also be investigated.
A lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress, where I just can't, I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning, how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds, that's how nobody can explain that. So something's, yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
Yeah, that is something that is very important, by the way. For too long, you've had the wrong people going to Congress. And a lot of them go to Congress because they have been promised or they've seen their friends get ridiculously wealthy because of the power and the influence that they have, whether it's through the USAID, which now will be defunct since Donald Trump has announced he's shutting it down, whether it's because of the lobbyists, whether it's because of stock investments, which, again, look, I'm not going to harp on our old buddy John Rutherford, but let me just pull up this clip. This is a clip that I should probably play this every single day between now and primary day because it's really important that there are Congress people that go to Congress as a retirement plan. They spend, 30, 40 years in one job. They think to themselves, all right, what can I do? What can I do now to make sure that I'm retiring comfortably? And I have enough money to support myself and my wife and my kids and my grandkids. You know what? I'll go to Congress because in Congress, I'll be able to make tons of money, especially if I'm on the Appropriations Committee. And if I get busted with some, stock trading ethics violations, guess what? I'll also sit on the ethics committee so they can all get thrown out. And our good buddy Matt Gaetz did a special on Blaze TV, which pinpointed exactly how this happens.
So one of the committees where people have a lot of information is the Appropriations Committee, because they can view almost any vector of government funding. And so, this is Mr. Rutherford's office. He's on the Ethics Committee and the Appropriations Committee. 152 stock trades. Stocks go through the roof. And, actually bought Raytheon stock the day that Russia invaded Ukraine.
That's my guy. That's my guy. That's my guy. That's the guy that represents my district. I didn't send him there to buy Raytheon stock because he knew that the Russians were going to invade Ukraine. I didn't send him there to sit on the Appropriations Committee where, guess what? You know where all the money is going to be spent before it's spent, and then sit on the Ethics Committee, which means, guess what? If you get busted insider trading, then you can just have your cronies throw the charges out, which is exactly what happened 152 times. He's not the only one. There's dozens and dozens because a lot of people were able to get away with it. And so they said, look, I need a retirement plan. I need health benefits. I need a pension. I need to make millions of dollars. I'm going to go run for Congress. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter about representing the people in my district. It doesn't matter about voting the way I'm supposed to vote. I'll vote the way that pays the best. And that's exactly what happened with John Rutherford. He's got an F on the Liberty score. His voting record is worse than most Democrats. It's worse than Liz Cheney because he's going to Congress to get rich. So many other people are going to Congress to get rich. They go in, they're not millionaires. They leave, they're multimillionaires. Elon Musk says, how does that happen?
A lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress, where I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year?
Not even, it's like 175,000 a year. And you know what's funny? This is the other thing too, because there's not been a cost of living increase voted in Congress, I think since 2009. It's been a long time, maybe 2019. It's been a while. And every year somebody comes in and says, hey, you know what? DC is expensive. Inflation's through the roof. Can we get a cost of living increase? Because a lot of them can't pay for their own apartments in DC, so they have to sleep in their offices. A lot of Congress people, that travel back and forth, they're paying 2 mortgages or mortgage and rent. They're trying to live 2 separate lives on 1 separate salary, and they haven't gotten a cost of living increase, even though the cost of living has increased nationwide. But the reason why there's a couple reasons why they don't vote for a cost of living increase. Number one is, well, we don't want to stick the taxpayers with a bigger bill. Fair enough. Also, they don't want to vote themselves a tax or a cost of living increase, or they don't want to vote for themselves to get a pay raise when so many people in the United States are getting pay cuts. Also makes sense. But the other reason is a lot of them just don't need the money. The salary is not the reason they're there. $175,000, that's just, a vacation to them. They're already they don't care about the salary because the perks, the benefits, the side hustles they get as a member of Congress, that's where the real money's at. When you know what the stock market's going to do before it does it, it makes it really easy to not have to worry about a pay raise, because the only pay raise you need is another run on a bull stock. And you know exactly when those are going to happen. And Elon Musk is saying that's got to stop. We have to make Congress a place where people do not go to retire wealthy. We need to make Congress a place where people go to, serve the people, protect the Constitution, save the Republic. I think every congressperson should have to go to Congress at least and come out at least as broke as they were when they went in, if not even more so. That should be, and I know you can't regulate that. I get it. But your goal should never be, how am I going to retire wealthy? Your goal should be, how am I going to help the people in my district to retire wealthy? There was one last part I wanted to play with you. Play for you, where Elon Musk was taking questions and a pastor stepped up, because, Elon Musk, he's taking a lot of heat, this guy. He's got, like I said, the Teslas are burning and scratching and people are blowing things up left, right, and center. He talked to this pastor, and this pastor said, I want to pray for you, Elon, because you're the main.
To ask you if it would be okay. I brought my dad with me. He's a pastor, and
Hello.
I just thought, if it's okay with you, I would love for him to say a prayer for you as well, for your protection.
Sure. Thank you.
Elon, well, thank you so much for everything you've done for our country. We do love you very much.
Thank you.
And as a pastor, but just as a person, right? And even if I wasn't a Christian, and I know not everyone here is a Christian, but I think there's quite a few of you here, and who are. Either way, we love all people. That's not the issue. The issue is fairness, what you're talking about. The issue being just, and the justice being a weapon instead of lawfare, instead of actually just, and all this corruption you're talking about. And that's a bad spirit, if you want to say it that way, putting it nicely. It's something evil that has come against our country, our morals, our families, etc. And then you and the president and others getting attacked with this outrage and this hate. So if you would, allow me to pray.
Thank you.
If you'd all who want to, please join me, bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country. We are thankful that God does bless America, and that God is the source of all goodness, love, and provision, and that you, Lord God, have provided a great nation with a great history. And although we've gone through many rough times, you're still very present and active with us. Thank you for protecting President Trump from that fatal attack. And we ask that you envelop and protect all of those who are fighting for justice, for freedom, for order, for dignity, and to reward people according to merit, and especially put your hedge of protection around Elon Musk, around his children, around his whole entire family, and all of his team members, that all would do good and just by our country, and freedom truly and justice would reign once again. We ask this in the name of the blessed Savior, Jesus Christ, who we remember during this time of year, who suffered and died for our sins. May you wash away all that is wrong with our country and start with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Look at that. Where else are you going to see a guy in an Occupy Mars shirt standing next to a pastor who's praying over the richest man in the world who just threw a cheesehead into the audience? I dare say you will never see that again. And this is why this is the most amazing time in America. This is why this is the new golden age. And this is why I am so thrilled and so excited to be a part of it. Listen, speaking of the new golden age, before we get to Donald Trump and the tariffs, which is the other exciting thing, Tariff Day is Wednesday. Wednesday the 2nd is what Donald Trump calls Liberation Day. That's when the tariffs go into effect. That's when the reciprocal tariffs go into effect. And that is when the new golden age officially, I believe, begins. That's when the money's going to start flowing into the United States and into our coffers. And that's when you're going to start seeing some really amazing things happen. Job creation, job growth, wages increasing, investment in America going up, more money in your bank account, prices coming down. It's going to be fantastic. And that's why I'm so excited that Wednesday is also the day that we are hosting our next Dollars for Followers Masterclass. Now, look, here's what I tell everybody. If you have a business, you need to be ready to reach more customers. Why? Well, because with the new golden age, Donald Trump's going to create more wealth for more people, which means there'll be more customers for you. You need to know how to reach them. If you have any kind of business, or if you would like some kind of business, I'll teach you everything I do on the daily, everything I do on social media to connect with people, to connect with an audience, to make them offers that they're going to love. And this masterclass is only $17. It's 1 hour out of your day. It's Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And it's about 60 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. At the end of the class, I do one-on-one hot seat profile transformations, content audits. We'll look at your stuff. We'll upgrade it, and we'll make sure that you're reaching more people. We'll make sure that you're getting more customers and clients and that you're making more money. My goal for you is to earn at least $1 for every follower you have. That's what I do, and I'll show you exactly how you can do it as well. If you're interested, please join us on Liberation Day for our Dollars for Followers Masterclass, how to make $1 for every follower you have. Go to dollarsforfollowers.com to register. There's also a link in the description of this video, dollarsforfollowers.com, or click the link in the description of this video to register. It's going to be the most important and probably the most lucrative hour you ever spend online. Speaking of those tariffs, man, it is terrific. The kind of change we're already seeing. And in fact, Kevin Hassard, he's already out there and he's saying, look, Donald Trump's tariffs are already, they haven't even gone into effect yet. These reciprocal tariffs that Donald Trump is placing on every other country in the world, saying, hey, you've been taking advantage of us way too long. Now it's our turn. Now we're going to get our fair share. Now, if you charge us a 50% tariff, we're going to charge you a 50% tariff. Now, if you charge us an 80% tariff, we're going to charge you an 80% tariff. They're already having a dramatic effect on pretty much everybody in the United States.
First of all, notice how many announcements there have been made about all the investment that's coming to the U.S. Even Hyundai said they're going to build a $10 billion plant this week. And so the point is all that stuff comes to the U.S., then the value of U.S. production has to go up. And so right now, about 15% of GDP is imported, and that's the part of GDP that'll be impacted by our trade policies. And they're basically taking 15% of GDP and onshoring it. Meanwhile, one of the biggest news items that people haven't been talking about is the Big Six, the group of us that are negotiating with Congress the tax bill, have had an enormous amount of positive progress. And so think about it. We've got the biggest, most pro-worker tax cut in history that's moving forward at a breakneck speed, and that affects the other 85% of GDP. So President Trump is right to say we've got the golden age coming, and I think the naysayers will be proven wrong if they're a little bit nervous about the blips from this week to next.
Yeah, well, look, we're transitioning. We're doing a lot of different things. A lot of people are going to get nervous. A lot of people are going to get skittish. But in the long run, this is going to be an incredible thing for Donald Trump. In fact, Fox News was talking about all the potential benefits from the new golden age, from Liberation Day, from these tariffs.
The administration estimates the Trump tariffs will bring in $600 billion in the first year to the Treasury General Fund. The president's extra 25% tariffs on autos alone expected to generate $100 billion on top of the reciprocal tariffs. So those tariffs on just about all countries is meant to level the trade playing field. The extra 25% tariffs on autos and others meant to protect 7 industries the president has deemed critical. You see those industries there, autos on the list, along with semiconductors, labor, steel, aluminum, and the others.
Yeah, and it's all those things that are happening, every single thing going on, that is a direct result of Donald Trump and his tariffs. And that is just the beginning. Donald Trump, he's even using tariffs again, because there's 2 reasons. Well, there's a bunch of reasons why you would use tariffs. One is to level the playing field. One is to, there's actually a bunch. The first reason why Donald Trump is imposing tariffs is because nobody has before, and it's a great way to create external revenue. He's basically saying, if you would like to pay, or if you'd like to play in the United States of America, if you'd like to market your products to the United States of America and her citizens, you need to pay. You can't just walk in and start selling. You've got to buy a license. You've got to rent a booth. If this were a flea market, you got to pay the price of admission, and then you can sell stuff to the people who are walking around in here. That's the first reason. The second reason is, if there are countries that have exorbitant tariffs on us, it's a great way to get them to drop those tariffs, either lower them or drop them completely. Because when they're faced with reciprocal tariffs, they often rethink their own anti-American tariff policies. Another great thing is to bring in external revenue, as we talked about before, but it also helps you make other decisions, and they're used not just as an economic tool, but also as a political negotiating tool and a tool for foreign policy. And one of the things that's happening is the foreign policy in Ukraine and in Russia, and the ceasefire and the back and forth and the ridiculousness that's going on between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. And on Meet the Press Sunday, Kristen Welker from NBC News started her broadcast. She was so giddy. She was so excited. She was so overjoyed because she just received a phone call from President Donald Trump. And what did he say? He said he was pissed off.
Just hours ago, President Trump called me to tell me he is, quote, pissed off with Russia's President Putin, and threatened to impose secondary tariffs on Russia's oil. Quote, if Russia and I are unable to make a deal on stopping the bloodshed in Ukraine, and if I think it was Russia's fault, which it might not be, but if I think it was Russia's fault, I am going to put secondary tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. Mr. Trump said 25% tariffs on Russian oil could happen any moment, and told me he plans to speak with President Putin this week. The president told me, quote, I was very angry, pissed off when Putin started getting into Zelensky's credibility and started talking about new leadership in Ukraine.
By the way, we've all talked about Zelensky's credibility. We've all talked about new leadership in Ukraine. But again, Donald Trump's like, look, it's okay if Mark Kaye on Mark Kaye Saves the Republic disses Volodymyr Zelensky, talks about how we need new leadership in that country rather. It's okay if we sit around and we badmouth Zelensky for all of the stuff that he's done. But Vladimir Putin better not, because they're in the middle of a heated negotiation. But Donald Trump also, and the frustration comes for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a great negotiating tool. I mean, we remember what happened last time Donald Trump got mad at one of these world leaders. It happened to be Volodymyr Zelensky in the White House, in the Oval Office. Him and J.D. Vance and J.D. Vance's cool socks, they started attacking Volodymyr Zelensky because he came in trying to change the deal for the rare earth minerals and the protection of the United States of America. He was talking about NATO again, and Donald Trump was like, get out, just get out. Grab your stuff, get out, and don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And Volodymyr Zelensky, man, he left that place faster than Morgan Wallen at the end of Saturday Night Live. And it worked because he turned around and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to sign that deal. And Donald Trump may be doing the same thing now with Vladimir Putin, saying, look, I'm going to throw some tariffs. I'm going to throw some tariffs on Putin too. I'm going to throw tariffs on Putin, and I'm going to make sure that he knows that we mean business.
We put secondary tariffs on, as you know, in Venezuela, and it's had a very strong impact on Venezuela. You know that every ship just got out and they left. A lot of them left. They dropped the hoses right into the ocean and they left. They didn't want want to be there for a minute because they didn't want those tariffs to catch on, or they didn't want me to see them there. So the Venezuela secondary tariffs, all secondary tariffs are very strong because essentially it says if you disobey our orders, you cannot do business in the United States of America. And that's the cash cow.
Would that apply to Chinese companies buying Russian oil as well, if you plan to go ahead with those?
So if, in the case of Venezuela, as you know, China pulled up anchor and left. They were there. They had 2 ships there, and they left. They left empty. They didn't want to take a chance. No.
They didn't want to take a chance. They left. They pulled their hoses. They said, we're not going to take any oil from Venezuela. It's going to cost way too much. And they left. And he thinks the same thing's going to happen in Russia when he imposes secondary tariffs on Vladimir Putin. But he also was throwing out a warning to Vladimir Zelensky because he doesn't like the way Vladimir Zelensky's acting either.
Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth, and now he's saying, well, you know, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got big problems.
Big problems. In fact, Vladimir Zelensky came out over the weekend and said, I never saw the money that was given to us by Joe Biden in the United States as a loan. I never saw it as any of that. What I saw that money as, I saw that money not as a loan. I saw it as, you know, a gift. Well, Donald Trump's like, it's not a gift. And you know what? If you think that was a loan, then you got another thing coming. We never saw you. If you never identified that money as a loan, we will never identify you as a member of NATO. That's basically how that one's going to end. But Vladimir Zelensky, he doesn't realize everything he wants is in this deal. He gets to end the war, which he may not actually want because he's become a big superstar and very wealthy. He gets the protection of the United States of America, which he's wanted, and he gets a rare earth minerals deal, which will make both countries rich. The United States will pay to rebuild their infrastructure, rebuild their cities, rebuild their military, rebuild everything, because the United States is going to have an interest in Ukraine. And they don't want anybody invading Ukraine ever again. They don't want anyone coming into Ukraine and pushing them around. They don't want anyone, if we have an economic interest in Ukraine, it does everybody good except for Russia, which is what you would think Vladimir Zelensky would want, but that guy's not the brightest bulb in the hallway. So what you've got now is you've got 2 egomaniacal world leaders, both of whom hate each other, trying to negotiate with Donald Trump, who's losing his patience more and more by the day and is, according to Kristen Welker, totally pissed off.
Just hours ago, President Trump called me to tell me he is, quote, pissed off with Russia's President Putin.
And it looks like they're going to be talking a little later. It looks like they're going to be talking a little later this week to see if they can figure out something. Donald Trump also, by the way, speaking of pissing people off, Donald Trump also floated the idea once again of a 3rd term, or at least he was asked about it. This is something that Donald Trump is brilliant at. He's never said no. You never say no. You want this? I wrote about this in my Kayetriot Dispatch email earlier today about the open loop. Donald Trump's a genius at the open loop. When somebody asks him, hey, are you going to run for a 3rd term? He never goes, no, that would be unconstitutional, or no, there's no way how. He goes, you know what? We're looking at that. He goes, a lot of people would actually like that.
You said you were not joking about a 3rd term, about possibly wanting a 3rd term. Does that mean you're not planning to leave office on January 20th?
I'm not looking at that, but I'll tell you, I have had more people ask me to have a 3rd term, which is, in a way, it's 4th term, because the other election, the 2020 election was totally rigged. So it's sort of a 4th term in a certain way. I just don't want the credit for the 2nd. Because Biden was so bad, he did such a bad job. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm popular, if you want to know the truth. I think I'm popular because we've done a great job. I think we've had the best almost 100 days of any president. And most people are saying that. And it's an honor. We're bringing back our country. We're respected as a country again. And we're strongly respected. And people are amazed. I was with some very important people today, and they said that they've never seen a turnaround in the country as fast as this. Even look at our border. We have nobody coming in.
Yeah, and now Donald Trump saying, look, you know what? I'm not looking at it right now, but we got a long way to go. There's a long way to go before the election. But a lot of people, there's always a lot of people talking about how great Donald Trump is, which is true. There are a lot of people talking about how great Donald Trump is and how great this country is. And a lot of people have asked him about it. And a lot of people have said, Donald Trump, you need to make sure we need a third term of President Donald Trump. So he goes, we're looking at it. Now, the reason this is so exciting is because the media they lose their you-know-what, man. They just go into a tizzy. They go into a frenzy. They go just buck wild. They can't believe that Donald Trump would even suggest such a thing. And then they go to the Constitution, a document that many of them are unfamiliar with on the left. In fact, the attorneys and the representatives, it's so funny to me when I hear these Democrats say, the Constitution says that you're limited to 2 terms. And I'm like, oh, you finally read the Constitution. Well, if anything good has come from President Donald Trump teasing the idea of a third term, it's that the Democrats are finally reading the document that they swore an oath to protect. Thank goodness. Thank you, Donald Trump, for making the Democrats excited to learn about the Constitution of the United States of America, which gives them power and which they are supposed to be basing all of their decisions on whenever they go and vote for some kind of legislation. Wow. If Donald Trump can get the Democrats interested in the Constitution of the United States of America, he can do anything. And in my humble opinion, would deserve then a third term. But again, it's keeping the Democrats busy on other things that may or may not ever happen. And it's a distraction for them while Donald Trump does everything else in his power to push forward his agenda and make America great again. Speaking of distractions, this is one I didn't want to. It's almost like my new goal is to go one day without mentioning the name Jasmine Crockett. If I could go one day without mentioning the name Jasmine Crockett, that would be incredible. But unfortunately, I can't. Jasmine Crockett has said something else about a fellow African-American politician that is so racist and disgusting and deplorable that I just had to share it with you. This happened on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, where she discussed Byron Donalds and his wife.
And if we continue to put people into office, and that even means some of our skinfolk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you. I'm not really sure, what it is.
Well,
but
you couldn't even be married to a white woman under Jim
Correct.
Crow.
Correct. And it took Joy to call him out. So I'm like, bruh, what are you talking about? What are you saying? He just out here, I feel like they give him his talking points and he's like, yes, massa, I got it.
Yeah. So that, I don't even know where to start. Again, look. I don't know where to. Did she say my skin folk who ain't my kinfolk?
And if we continue to put people into office, and that even means some of our skin folk who definitely are not our kinfolk.
Oh, yeah. She said some of our skin folk who definitely are not our kinfolk. I've never heard that turn of phrase before. But again, it's Jasmine Crockett. And I don't usually listen to anything that she says until recently when she makes these outrageous claims, like, for example, making fun of a man in a wheelchair or just cussing at Donald Trump's speech or, all of the other ridiculous things that have been coming out of her mouth lately. This being, just the latest in a long litany of idiocies.
Such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow. Is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you? I'm not really sure.
Okay, now she's accusing him of being whitewashed because he married a white woman. And he said that Jim Crow, that we were better under Jim Crow. That's never, by the way, that's not at all what Byron Donalds said. But again, it never matters to the Democrats. It never matters to Jasmine Crockett. It never matters to any of these people, the truth. They don't care about the facts. They just care about making a stir. They care about getting their name out there. And Jasmine Crockett she offers nothing to the voters in Dallas. She does nothing to represent her party. The problem is that her party has no platform. The party is devoid of any idea. The party has no agenda. The party has no concept of how to help Americans. All they do is create problems. They have no idea how to fix them. They're stuck on this. They're hell bent on this wokeism and this DEI stuff that the country has already rejected in mass. They're moving into 2026 very quickly. They're looking at these special elections. They're looking at redoing districts because that's all they have. They don't have concrete ideas that they can sell to the American people to say, we're better than the Republicans. All they have are superstars of the party who go out there and make a name for themselves by saying stupid stuff. Like Al Green, who jumps up at the State of the Union address and yells, "You ain't got no mandate," and waves his cane around and then gets dragged out by his man bun or his ponytail or whatever it is, and then censured later on in the well. And then you've got Jasmine Crockett, who again is just going on it's almost like she's going on a tour of stupidity. It's like she's going on a stupidity tour. She went out and she spoke at that human rights campaign where she talked smack about the man in the wheelchair, Governor Greg Abbott, called him Governor Hot Wheels. Then she went out. She was somewhere else talking about how illegal immigrants pay $100 billion into the system. Then she was talking to Charlemagne the God about Byron Donalds and smacking him for marrying a white woman and saying he's our skin folk, but he ain't our kinfolk, and he's whitewashed himself. This is how they get political power. With the Democrat Party, it's never about fixing America's problems. It's about, I guess you would just say, making the most noise. Whoever has the most name recognition is the one who wins. And it doesn't matter that they don't actually make anything better. And in many cases, they just exacerbate the situation. They make the situation worse. These are the people who make a living by going out and protesting. These are the people who make a living by destroying other people's ability to make a living or destroying other people's personal property. And this Tesla thing, I mentioned it. I know it was like been an hour since I mentioned it, but this Tesla thing just cracks me up. These protesters are so, I guess, so well organized that they print out their anti-Elon Musk chants. And they printed out their anti-Elon Musk chants. This is the large print simplified chant sheet for the Elon Musk protest. I guess there's a lot of, I don't know, there must be a lot of short-sighted Democrats out there, or some of these protesters, just their vision maybe, their vision, much like their judgment, may be clouded because they can't see the protest. So they have to have the large print simplified chant sheet, which includes chants like "Elon Musk, go to Mars. We don't want your swastikars." Or "Elon Musk is unelected. Democracy must be protected." They can't remember that one. So they have to have it written down on a sheet of paper. And then, of course, if they're older or if they have, bad vision, they need the larger print version. "The people united will never be defeated." I don't know what that one doesn't even rhyme. Hey, ho, ho. President Musk has got to go. Can you imagine not being able to remember, hey, ho, ho, President Musk has got to go, that you need it written down for you? This is like Joe Biden. It's very reminiscent of Joe Biden. Joe Biden, remember, he used to show up with the cards, the talking points of what he was supposed to say, where he was supposed to go, when he was supposed to stop talking, when he was supposed to get up. Half the time he read those directions off the teleprompter. He had the list of approved journalists that he could call on. This is very similar. All the Democrats apparently need everything written down for them. "We will not cooperate with your techno-fascist state." Okay, that one's a little tricky. I can see why. I almost messed that one up and I was reading it. "We will not cooperate with your techno-fascist state." "Public workers work for us. Can't say that for Elon Musk." I don't even know what that, I mean, technically, Elon Musk is a public worker because he works for President Donald Trump, who was elected by we the people. So that one's not even right. "Democrats, grow a spine. Now's the time to draw the line." I love this. And I love the photographer that got a photo. Kudos, shout out to whichever photographer got the long range over the shoulder shot of this crazy left-wing lunatic socialist protester with bad vision who was holding the large print simplified chant sheet so that we now know, all of us know, just how short-sighted and simple-minded these Democrat protesters really, really are. And no, I'm not just talking about Jasmine Crockett, although she does fit into fit into that bill as well. The bad news for the United States of America is it doesn't look like the Democrats have any new messengers other than Jasmine Crockett, AOC, even Tampon Tim Walz. Tim Walz is still being paraded around out there. Bernie Sanders is still being paraded around out there. And as long as these people can continue to say inflammatory, ridiculous things like Byron Donalds is whitewashed because he married a white woman and he thinks that black people were better off under Jim Crow, as long as she can say those things on large media platforms like The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, as long as she's out there making these egregious statements, which people have to report on, she will continue to be a player in the Democrat Party. Because in the Democrat Party, they don't have good ideas. They don't have any solutions. All they have is a bunch of smack talking. What's the word I should say? All they have are a bunch of smack talking spotlight hogs like Jasmine Crockett. Okay, I guess that's the nicest way. I put that. Hey, I do want to end on a high note, though. Do you remember the astronauts that Elon Musk saved from space? Donald Trump said, Elon, can you get these astronauts out of space? And Elon Musk said, I can, and I will. And he did. It was Butch and Sonny. Well, they sat down with Fox News, and Fox News asked them, hey, do you have a message for Elon Musk and Donald Trump? And they did. And I want you to listen to this, because this is what people actually think of the president and of Elon, people who have actually been positively affected by their actions.
What would you like to say to President Trump and Elon Musk?
I respect you. I trust you. You've given me no reason not to trust you, either one of them. What they say, I can't say what they say. I haven't lived that. But I have no reason not to believe anything they say, because they've earned my trust. And for that, I am grateful that our national leaders actually are coming in and taking part in our human spaceflight program, which we see is hugely important global significance, and they take an active role. And based on the past and what we see now, with them doing that, it's refreshing. Not just refreshing, it's empowering. It's strengthening for our nation. I think it's a good thing for our nation when the national leaders, especially something that has high visibility, are involved in the process. Yes, and I'm grateful for that.
And, I'm just glad that they're involved and they take notice. And, our situation, I think I mentioned before, maybe wasn't the perfect situation, but allowed a lot of people, including the president and Elon, to look at what's going on the International Space Station, take it very seriously, and understand that our involvement as a country, as a spacefaring nation, is really important throughout the world. And it sets an example, and it shows, our ability to be able to do the hard things, put people in space, operate in space, work in space, and then bring us back. It's important, and I appreciate that them and many more people took notice of it.
And did something about it and rescued them. Not only do we have the ability and the talent and the creativity and the hard work and the drive to put people into space, but we also have the ability to bring them back, especially in an emergency situation. And that's something that Joe Biden and the Democrats did not. Maybe they had the ability, but they just didn't have the desire, which is really, that's just wrong, if you ask me. Listen, I want to say thank you very quickly to a couple of people who, during the show, showed their appreciation with a couple of super chats. We had a couple of super chats on YouTube today, and we definitely appreciate all of the support. Christiane Haggerty dropped a $5 super chat and said, "Love me some Mark Kaye." That makes two of us, sister, but I really do appreciate that, Christine Haggerty. And as you know, as everybody knows, every single dime that we make here through super chats and Rumble rants and subscriptions and supporters and members of the Kayetriot Club and any and all purchases that you make, we put all of those right back into the show. We put all that right back into the program so that we can continue to bring you the information and the entertainment you crave every single day. Missy in Wisconsin sent a $5 super chat. Thank you, Missy. And she wrote, "If you haven't voted yet, please make a plan to do it tomorrow and bring a friend." That is right, Wisconsin, Florida, wherever there happens to be an election. We need Republicans on the ground. We need Republicans voting. We need Republicans dragging other Republicans to vote. Wisconsin is super important. Florida, very important. Anytime you have an election, you need Republicans to win. And I don't care I don't care who the Republican is. I don't care what level it's at. You need the Republican to win. The worst Republican is better than the best Democrat. Always has been, always will be. We'll talk about the bad Republicans in 2026 during the primaries, but right now during the special elections, we need Republicans. Period. End of story. Thank you both for your super chats. Listen, do not forget that coming up this Wednesday, it is Liberation Day, and that means that it's also our Dollars for Followers Masterclass. Now's the time. It's $17. This is a $97 class that we have slashed the price of to $17. And we want you to join us for 1 hour, 60 minutes on Wednesday, where I will show you how I create sales, content, and social media techniques that earn me $1 at least for every follower that I have. I'll give you the proven step-by-step blueprint. I'll teach you how it's done so that you can do it over and over again. With bonus time at the end of the class, we will be going through your individual profile. We'll be going through your individual content. If you ever post something and go, man, I wish I had more followers, I can show you how to repost that same piece of content in a way that will get you more followers, in a way that will get you more views. If you have social media and your profile isn't drawing in any customers or cash flow, I can show you 3 simple tweaks or phrases or fixes, or maybe even with just 1 or 2, that will help you turn your content into consistent cash flow as you post every single day. This is a great class. We've been doing it now for a while. Every week it fills up. Every week we have so many great people in there, and they all leave. In fact, you know what? Tomorrow, maybe I'll share with you some of the testimonials we've been getting in, because people are really super thrilled about it. Make $1 for every follower you have. Get my $1 for every follower social sales system that prints money for you in the new golden age. Go to dollarsforfollowers.com. Go to dollarsforfollowers.com or click the link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. We're going to have an after party here in just a couple minutes. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Tell that platform, notify me whenever Mark Kaye puts new content out there. Notify me when there's some new update from Mark Kaye. I want more Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. I want it on my phone. I want it on my screens. I want it on my computers. I want it everywhere. Mark Kaye has good things to say. He keeps me entertained and informed and invigorated and inspired and enlightened. And I need to be all of those things all of the time. Because as we see in Wisconsin, as we see in Florida, there is always a battle to be fought. There is always a battle that we must win. There is always something that we must do so that we can save the Republic. The after party begins in 3 minutes. Kayetriots.com to join the Kayetriot Club and become a supporter now.